This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The DRC Learning Net will start in 5 minutes.
W0TX repeater.
This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations please stand by while the repeaters are placed into net mode.
PL off.
Good evening. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. My name is Daron. Delta Oscar, Romeo Oscar November. I am Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Learning Net tonight. This is a direct net for the purpose of connecting amateurs and seeking help or advice with Elmers willing to mentor. This net meets every Wednesday except the third Wednesday of the month at 1930 hours, 7:30 p.m. on the W0TX repeaters with frequencies 145.490 and it's linked with 448.625. Both have a negative offset and a tone of 100. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? For recognition by Net Control, please use your call sign. Everyone is welcome. This is an on-air meeting for amateurs seeking help and Elmers giving their time to mentor. If you have any questions for the Learning Net and don't yet have your license or otherwise wish to contact the net, you may do so via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com. Again, that is drclearningnet@gmail.com. You can also visit us on our public mailing list at groups.io at Ham Learning Net. We're also streaming our nets as well as archiving them on YouTube. So you can visit that now, and you can view a video of the net currently, youtube.com/WEREGR8 Whiskey Edward Romeo Edward Golf Romeo 8. This is K1DBC Net Control. We will begin by inviting Elmers only to check in with or without traffic. All Elmers, please check in now.
Alpha 0, Juliet Kilo. AA0JK. Good evening.
All right. Net Control wishes to thank and acknowledge the following Elmer. AA0JK. Fred, thank you for checking in, as always. All other check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of your call sign, of the operator's call sign. That would be the first letter after the first number in your call sign. Please use I2 phonetics as you check in and indicate if you have traffic or questions for Elmers as you do. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Kilo Delta 0, Delta Uniform Juliet, Chris in Denver checking in. Sorry I missed the Elmer check-in part, but go ahead and show me as an Elmer for digital voice.
Kilo 0, Lima Alpha India, K0 LEI, Larry Lakewood.
Kilo 6 Hotel, Juliet Victor, Tom, no traffic.
Whiskey Delta 6, Delta Oscar Kilo Rich in Arvada, no traffic.
W0TX repeater.
Okay. Net Control would like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. KD0DUJ Chris, I got you checked in as an Elmer for digital voice. K0LAI Larry, K6HJV Tom, and WD6DOK Rich. Thank you all for checking in. I'll take another call for the same part of the alphabet there. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Kilo Zero, Bravo Alpha Tango, Art and Aurora.
Kilo Foxtrot 0 Alpha Echo Yankee. This is Patrick in Highlands Ranch.
All right, Net Control, I'd like to welcome to knowledge the following check-ins. K0BAT Art and KF0AEY Patrick. Thank you both for checking in. We'll actually go ahead and open up the whole alphabet. If you're, we're taking all calls, A through Z. Please check in now.
Kilo Echo 0, November Romeo Echo, Jim in Littleton with traffic.
Kilo Echo 0, Sierra Uniform Mike, Jonathan Lakewood.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. No traffic.
Kilo Echo 0, Uniform Victor Lima, Jason Denver, no traffic.
Kilo Delta 0, Yankee Papa Kilo, Mike and Littleton, no traffic.
Kilo 0, Kilo Papa Sierra, 7 Lakewood, no traffic.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Alpha Foxtrot Quebec, Troy and Denver, no traffic.
Okay, we'll hold up there for just a moment. This is K1DBC Net Control. I would like to welcome to knowledge the following check-ins. KE0 NRE Jim with traffic, KE0 s.t.e.m Jonathan, N0 TRP Jim, KE0 UVL Jason, KD0 YPK Mike, K0 KPS Kevin, and KF0 AFQ Troy. Thank you all for checking in. If anybody wants or needs a correction, or if there's any other further check-ins, there'll be plenty of opportunity to check in. But if you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, please call now. All right, one more call at the moment. Anybody who'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning just for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions or anything else for the net, please do so with your call sign, your name, and please call now.
KB0VQP, Tim, on a handheld in Arvada.
All right, KB0 VQP. Tim got you checked in. Sounding just fine.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and throw it over to Jim, KE0 NRE. The net is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Daron. KE0NRE here. I have a question about satellite communication. I've been looking on the internet and found a lot of recipes for making directional antennas for UHF and some for UHF, VHF reception in transmission. And I wondered if anybody who's listening or anybody in the club has some experience with doing that, building their own handheld antennas, and which, if any, particular designs they recommend, or are they all about the same? Back to net, KE0NRE.
All right, great question there, KE0NRE, Jim. You know, I've not done too much satellite work myself, unfortunately. I really need to start getting into that, and I have seen a lot of home-built DIY antennas for that and things you can buy at HRO. Anyone else on that? I have a few things I can bring up, but anyone with any experience, any anecdotal things about antennas and what you want to use for satellite work? FM, probably the AMSAT satellites, Oscar, things like that. Go ahead.
LAI.
Yeah, K0LAI. Larry, go ahead.
That's K0LAI. I've seen most people I've seen have either built their antennas or they've used the handheld ones, like from Arrow, or built them themselves. And one of the things I've noticed is a lot of times they have two radios, one for receiving and one for sending, although some radios are capable of doing both, but it seems like they prefer to use two separate radios. Some people have, tracking satellite software with a laptop, and they have a motor rigged up to move like if it's the satellite or the International Space Station, they'll have a motor to keep rotating the antennas at the particular object in space that they're trying to follow, so they can maintain the maximum reception and transmission towards that object. So I've seen really big ones made and smaller ones, but I've never done it myself. I've been there watching it in progress, but I've not actually done it myself. K0LAI, back to net.
All right, K0LAI. Thanks there for the info. Yeah, I definitely need to just do a little bit more research on this. Yeah, and as you were stating, there's options for full duplex where you can definitely send and receive at the same time. That is a need for satellite work, as it's constantly changing certain frequencies and things like that. You have a need for that, and using two different HTs can get around that. There's a lot of digging in that I need to do about that before I can speak too much more on that. But yeah, all the Arrow antennas, things like that. Anyone else, or K0NRE, or anyone else, or anyone? Go ahead, please. One more thing, this is K1DBC Net Control. One of the official entities that helps with amateur radio satellites is AMSAT. So you can find more on them at, I believe there's amsat-uk.org, and I think there's also, I think they are the main proprietors of that. So they have some frequently asked questions sections and getting started. And the RSGB, the Radio Society of Great Britain, has put together a primer about satellite operations and things like that. So that might be something to look into as well.
believe it's amsat.org for here in the States.
That's what I thought as well, and I think I had been there, and I think I just often go to the other one. So yeah, it's amsat.org for U.S.-based AMSAT. Thank you there for the follow-up on there. There was a double in there. If somebody else wanted to go in there, go ahead.
It's NRE rather, and I appreciate the direction to those two websites. I'll take a look at them and begin to dig in and learn what I need to learn in order to give it a try. Thanks very much. Back to net, KE0NRE.
Delta Oscar Kilo.
Perfect, NRE. Yeah, Doc, DOK, go ahead. Or Delta Oscar Kilo.
Yeah, if you give AMSAT a call, you can look them up on their website and get their phone number. And there's a lady there that's been there for quite some time. Her name is Martha. You can ask your questions to her, and she will direct you to somebody that can provide the information to you. And it's usually pretty quick. You might try, too, looking into a couple of egg beater antennas. M Squared makes them. And they're pretty good. Anyway, Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo.
Perfect. Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo. Rich, thanks there for the follow-up. Egg beater antenna by M Squared, yeah, as well as the AMSAT.org, the U.S. Part of that organization. They have a nice for beginners 9-part for beginners there. So a lot of reading up to do on there. And then just one additional thing. One of the other pieces of traffic I was going to pass was they just got a crossband FM crossband repeater on the ISS too, so that is it's not satellite technically, or I guess I don't know the definition of satellite, but it's on the ISS itself, and so you can do some work with that on 145.99 of uplink and downlink of 437.800, and yeah, the ARIS on the amateur radio on the International Space Station's ever changing too, so worthwhile checking into that.
And one other comment.
Yeah, DOK, go ahead.
Yeah, AMSAT sells a controller that will control a Yaesu as-an-L rotor system, and they also have the software and so forth for that. It works quite well. I've used it, and for whatever that's worth, WD6 DOK.
JK.
Perfect. Thanks there, Rich. AA0JK, go ahead.
AA0JK. Yeah, there's a good video on made by Diana Ng, E-N-G, and she made a homebrew satellite antenna, homebrew, and she's got some pretty good videos on amateur radio. And she appears in the magazine Make, M-A-K-E, the magazine Make, and she got an article in there on a lot of her projects, but you probably want to take a look at her video at Make, M-A-K-E-Z-I-N-E, makezine.com, projects /make 24 / homemade Yagi antenna. AA0JK.
All right, thank you there, Fred, for the follow-up there. Diana Ng on Make Zine. She goes over some satellite work on that article here. Very, very cool. All right, anyone else on that topic of satellite work? Please call now. Okay, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I'll just go ahead and take a quick opportunity to take you to further check-ins. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, please do so with your call sign and your name. Please call now.
WD0CIV.
All right, Net Control would like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. WD0CIV. Charles, got you checked in.
Alrighty, thanks. No traffic.
All right, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control. Just another reminder as well, if you go to youtube.com/WEREGR8, Whiskey Edward Romeo, Edward Golf Romeo 8, you can find live stream from this evening, currently occurring, as well as some past learning nets, as well as weekly nets, and some other presentations. So if you have any interest in some of the club activity that we've done, we're starting to put that up on YouTube, and you can find more on there. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I didn't see anyone else say they had traffic or questions, but if there's anyone else that has any other traffic or questions, comments, or any other check-ins for the net, please call now.
S.t.e.m. comment.
There's a couple people in there. I think it was definitely a S.t.e.m. and I think maybe a DOK Rich, and maybe a third. DOK, if I heard you in there, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo. I was wondering if anybody on the net tonight has messed around with the Mosaic palette. If anybody has set that up. Back to net.
W0TX repeater.
All right, looking at this right here, this is K1DBC Net Control. This appears to be a multi-material 3D printer. Is that correct?
Yeah, it takes 3 or 4 different colored filaments and filters it, and well, it actually bonds them, joins them together, and feeds it into a single hit on your printer, and you can get multicolored projects out of it.
This is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I have not played around with that one specifically. I have kind of a clone of what's considered the Prusa i3. These are probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years old at this point. More older looking traditional ones. I just know that mine came in a kit, and I kind of had to just put things together and put some bolt screws in here and there, depending on if it's a complete kit or if it's just ready to go. You kind of just have to set it up. I know all 3D printers have some sort of calibration you kind of need to do, and but this one looks like it might be just one you can kind of just take out of the box and probably just go get some material over at Micro Center, some PLA or PETG, and different colors, and just start downloading STLs from like thingiverse.com. I'll drop there and see if that helps a little bit. Go ahead.
Well, I wish it was that easy. There's quite a bit to configuring it. Once you get it set up, it's not too bad, but it's a little bit more. It's getting everything in sync and getting it all fired up. There's a hub also that's involved, and that needs to be configured as well, and have all the palette and the printer talk to each other, and of course the software and so forth and so on. So it does become a little bit complicated, or at least I don't know. Maybe I'm making it complicated.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess quick primer for everybody. What we're speaking about, we're talking about 3D printing. 3D printers have been around for about 5 to 10 years now. They've really been around for decades and decades. It's a process of additive manufacturing as opposed to reductive manufacturing, like a CNC machine where you give it a big block of metal and then it reduces it into that small piece. 3D printer builds up from nothing. But desktop 3D printers, as we've kind of known them, have been around for quite a while. I would hope by now. Oh, I see what this is. I see and understand. Okay, this is basically. Let me drop here for a moment. Okay, so that's a little bit of a primer on 3D printers. Basically, it's you can go down to Micro Center and buy PLA or PETG plastics, polyethylene something or other, and I'll have to find those here in a minute. But sorry, most printers come with one single head, one extrusion head. You can put one single strand of plastic, and what you buy at Micro Center is a spool of plastic that you then feed into this head, a nozzle, which then extrudes it at high temperatures onto a plate, and then through math, it just you give it a file, and then it just builds up in theory. So that's the single head extrusion for a 3D printer. This palette 2 is actually in addition to. You would buy this because your 3D printer can only extrude one color, one material at a time. This palette 2, what it does is it can use G-code to convert. Basically, you bring in a 3D model, and it has multicolors on it, and then this machine can automatically spool and bring in the correct colors as needed, instead of you having to do it by hand or just not having the capability of your printer at all. So instead of your print 3D plastic print coming out as one color, you can have multiple colors. So that's a little bit of a primer on this. There's definitely a lot more you have to kind of do a little bit more research on. So yeah, I understand now why it's probably not as easy as, why it looks a little bit different than what I was thinking. So I have not used that. My 3D printer is a single head. I have not really gone into multicolor, multi-material printing yet. But I know, yeah, you definitely have to sync it up with your 3D printer. Let me ask you this. What type of 3D printer do you have?
I assume you're directing a question to me, DOK?
Yes, sorry, K1DBC to WD6DOK. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a Series 1, which unfortunately, some of these, come and go, and the printers are manufactured, and the Series 1 has been around for a while, but then they fell on hard times, so to speak, and they're no longer manufactured. But I do I like the printer, and it works very well. There is one fellow that has picked up all the parts and so forth and is servicing them. The palette is been around for, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years, maybe, something like that, Mosaic, and they have really perfected the bonding, the fusing of the filaments, and getting them almost as one filament, I mean, in the different colors. But then there's a lot of timing and so forth that goes along that, the printer you have to know where to put it as far as with whatever you're adding the color to. So it can be, it's all controlled in software, but it can be quite complicated. But anyway, that's just a kind of you asked me what printer. A Series 1, anyway, Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo.
All right, sounds good there. WD6DOK, this is K1DBC. Yep, 3D printing has definitely matured and come a far way, but the question of what, I mean, it was kind of a little bit of a fad, unfortunately, and it's kind of died off a little bit, but it has really stayed pretty active within the hobbyist community. I mean, if you have any electronics, if you want to 3D print little knobs, little trinkets, little cases, things like that, it's pretty still active within the kind of hobbyist electrical engineering and some of the ham radio community definitely still uses these. So yeah, as far as 3D printing and multi-color and multi-material 3D printing, using an additional device definitely adds an additional layer of failure there, and it's definitely a little bit of a complex. I'm hoping by this point, though, it's once you get things up and running, it's working. But yeah, it probably just takes time. And again, there are printers. I mean, if anybody's ever to buy a 3D printer nowadays, there are printers that have multi-mode printing built into them, and there's other solutions available too.
Comment?
Yeah, go ahead with the comment.
Yeah, if anybody gets a chance, might go out and Google Jay Leno's garage. And this was a number of years ago, but he had a 3D printer, and you're right, I think they've kind of settled down a little bit, but they're still there, and they're quite valuable in the sense that automotive industry was using them, and an engineer could design a part and go home, have it print and go home, and come in the next morning and install it. Is where it would have to go out to some other manufacturer and come back, and it was quite a bit more expensive and took quite a bit more time. And Leno kind of goes through this. He scans a part for, I can't remember now, I think it's I can't remember. So damn near up on the front of an engine, an old engine, he couldn't get it. And anyway, they scanned it in and produced it in the 3D printer and then sent it out and had it made. So they are very valuable in the area, in the industry anyway. Didn't mean to go on. This is Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You hit on kind of the keystone point of why 3D printers kind of are pretty prolific and really what use they are, and it's rapid prototyping. It's people who actually have needs for building and making things out of materials that they can't do that rapidly, and this just allows them to just really quickly make a mock-up and just iterative mock-ups and just be able to again rapidly prototype a product. So yeah, it wasn't always developed for regular consumer use, but it found its niche in different places, and yeah, it's still going out there. You can I forget some of the sites, but I mean, if you don't have one and you want something printed, there's some sites you can go to. I'll have to look up here, and you can just tell them what you want. You can give them a model or things like that, and they can print it. So, yeah, anyone else on the topic of 3D printing? Go ahead.
Yeah, one other comment. If anybody does want something printed, you can go down to Denver Library. They have a lab down there, and all you have to do is bring a file, and they'll print it for you, and there's no charge. At least the last time I checked, there was no charge. But anyway, for what that's worth. But they're very good down there.
Yeah, absolutely. K1DBC Net Control. We have talked about that before. They're kind of a pseudo makerspace where you can go, and they have plenty of 3D printers. They have a lot of different materials, and it's not just the main library. They have at different locations. They have a lot of different things that you can use. Different AutoCAD products. One has like a screen printing tool. So there's a lot of cool things you could do, not only just at the Denver Public Library Idea Labs, their maker spaces, but there's a ton of also other maker spaces in the Denver metro area. There's the Denver DenHack. They have a I don't know if they have open house on Tuesdays anymore, but they used to have open houses, an open house where you could walk in on Tuesdays and kind of check things out too. But yeah, for free you can go into the libraries and get things 3D printed as well. Okay, yeah, I mean, 3D printers have always been around. They're still here. You know, if you ever are building a project and want to make a case for it, or need to make any little gears or knobs or anything, there's always options out there. So don't ever forget about that option if you need something done. I'll go ahead and throw it out to the net. Anyone else have any other topics, comments, questions, any other further check-ins? Please call now.
P25 radios.
Sorry, I did forget you about their SUM, and I'll get to you in DOJ in just a moment. KE0 SUM, Jonathan, go ahead.
I have to go back a little bit for Fred. Last week he was talking about the FCC and the licensing, and I found that interesting, and he had a lot of comments, but I was on a net Monday night and last night, and that was a total dominating conversation about the new fees for licensing technicians. And I'll give you my quick takeaway is I believe the technician license should stay at 15, but if you're that interested for a general or vanity, you should go for 50. I'd just like to point out it's been a hot topic on ham radio lately. KE0SUM, back to net.
Yeah, absolutely, KE0SUM. Yeah, we should probably go back to that at some point, and we'd be probably remiss if we didn't talk about that while it's on topic here. So yeah, as KE0SUM has mentioned, the kind of hot topic now is the FCC proposing to reinstate amateur radio service fees. So a fee of $50 for new applications, upgrades, pretty much everything, where at this point, at least within Colorado, with the one of the VE groups, you could test for free on all those. So yeah, we left a pretty good conversation off last week. If anybody wants to, I guess, bring anything new up, or Jonathan, if you want to just kind of reiterate what you were saying there about $15 or anything else, go ahead.
No, Daron, after just thinking about it from my perspective, I'd like to see it affordable for a new tech to not be driven away by $50. Seems that's a one-time fee. Granted, it's good for 10 years, $5 per year, but it's still a lot. And I think then if you're a technician and really get into the hobby, I would have definitely paid $50 for my General. KE0SUM, back to net.
JK.
Yeah, absolutely there, Jonathan. Yeah, a lower cost definitely wouldn't hurt. And yeah, we definitely don't want to restrict anybody from coming into this hobby. So any barrier to entry is not great, really, overall for the hobby itself. But yeah, AA0JK. Fred, go ahead.
AA0JK. Yeah, I'm thinking that if that goes into place, that'll be the end of the free licensing that the Patriots are putting out right now. In fact, that might be one of the reasons driving this is FCC is not collecting any revenue there. So I would be very, very, well, let's just put it this way. I would highly recommend that everyone respond to that and voice your opinions on whether you want to see that every time you initially go for a hand license, upgrade to General Extra, or renew your license that you have to pay a $50 fee. If you don't mind that, fine and dandy, but it's going to really hurt us as far as getting new blood into the hobby. A lot of the younger people are not going to be able to justify $50. They'll take that $50 and go buy themselves another cell phone. And our hobby is going to suffer from that $50 fee. So if you're a Denver Radio Club member, you've got a letter out that gives you the address for contacting the FCC and letting them know how you feel on the proposal. And definitely give them a thumbs down. AA0JK.
All right, thanks there, Fred. Yeah, absolutely. What was sent out to the members was just a copy of the notice for proposed rulemaking of what ARL kind of said here, and gives you a link to the electronic comment filing system, and you have to put in the proceeding of 20-270 in the preceding up there, and then you can attach. You have to go through the required fields, and then at the bottom you'll upload an attachment with a text document, whatever, a document with your thoughts in it. That is how you can make your comments heard to the FCC in regards to this proposal fees. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, and as mentioned, if you do go over to the YouTube page, WEREGR8, there was a conversation from last week, the Learning Net from the 2nd. It was a pretty good conversation we had there, and you can kind of review what people said there. And then there's also the weekly net from the 6th. There's a little bit of conversation there at the end of our Sunday night net there as well. So if you missed any of that, you can kind of go back and hear what people kind of spoke about. And yeah, again, arrl.org/news for more info on this. You know, if you just make your voice heard one way or the other. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, it's a little bit polarizing, but definitely everyone's opinion is always welcome on the air. We kind of had a lot of discussion last week, but if you have anything else further on the proposed charges for new licenses, modifications, renewals, for amateur radio. If anybody has any other further discussion on that this evening, if you'd like, please call now.
Control KD0DUJ. I want to discuss the radios for P25 ham.
Sure, of course. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I guess just last thing on that is there are 30 days. You have 30 days to respond to the FCC. They opened the comments on, I think, the 3rd or so. So it was just open, but definitely it'll come month's end pretty soon here. So 30 days to respond in regards to that. So with that, KD0DUJ on P25 radios. Go ahead.
Good evening to everybody on the net. This is KD0DUJ, Chris in Denver. If anybody's interested, RMRL does have a P25 repeater, and if you're in the market for a good P25 radio, I recommend the Motorola XTS2500. Make sure if you get one, make sure it is a Model 3, and also make sure that it has the front panel programming capability, so that way you don't have to hook it up to a computer every time to program it. You can just program it on the fly.
All right, thanks there for the info there about RMRL having a P25 repeater, and if you're wanting to get into that, the XTS2500 by Motorola is a good option there for you.
It is, because actually it's the reason why it's a good option. It's nice and small, because I was looking at getting the XTS 5000, but then I looked and I saw then Dirk and 2PDQ made the suggestion I get the XTS 2500. I got that, and I've been very happy with it. But yeah, just make sure that if you get one, make sure that it has front panel programming. Otherwise, you won't be able to program it by hand.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, another option there for digital radio, which isn't used too much, but it is what our public safety officials use. They've moved over to an encrypted version of P25, and it is just another open source or at least tool that's available to amateur radio operators. And there are some P25 repeaters, and I know that there are some down south as well.
Yeah, I'm also in the works. I'm trying to get P25 Skyhub on the 2-meter side, so that way, you know, those of us that have P25 radios would be able to use it. So anyway, that's all I have. KD0DUJ, back to net.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. I think there may have been somebody else trying to get in there. If somebody else was, please call now.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead with the question.
Yeah, Jerome, could you give the link to the YouTube sites that you gave out before?
Yeah, of course. It is youtube.com/WEREGR8 Whiskey Edward Romeo Edward Golf Romeo 8.
Okay, thank you very much, WD60, okay.
New topic, AA0JK.
Yeah, AA0JK. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was looking, scanning the 2-meter band with another radio the other night, and I happened to pick up a conversation with a couple of individuals. They were talking about hooking up a linear amplifier, and I guess the individual was living in an apartment. And boy, I tell you, some of the bad information that goes out on some of these nets, I would highly recommend that you not, unless you want to lose your lease, do not try to operate a linear amplifier if you live in an apartment. It's bad enough with a 100-watt radio. You're getting into the electrical wiring of the building, and you're going to have all kinds of crazy things going on with your neighbor's appliances. For example, if you've got some of these touch button or clap lamps lighting that go on, those things that just RF just drives them crazy. And once they find out who it is in the complex that's causing the interference, you're probably going to wind up looking for a new home. But I tell you, be careful. Be careful what some of the information that comes down some of these repeaters. Before you do anything, go and look up the topic and confirm it from a reliable source like the ARRL, and make sure you're not going to wind up with further problems. That's like some of the antenna topics that I hear going on between some of these hams. The information they're putting out is bad information. So before you go making any definite changes or following through on some of these suggestions, please look it up and get confirmation from a reliable source. Your American Radio Relay League handbook, or just the webpage, the ARRL webpage, and make sure that the information you're getting is good information. But boy, I tell you, that conversation about operating a linear amplifier, I think they were talking about 600 or 800 watts. Boy, I tell you, you're going to bring the whole roof down with your neighbors with something like that. So do be careful about some of this information that's going out on some of these repeaters. AA0JK, back to net control.
All right, AA0JK, yeah, absolutely. This is K1DBC. We're talking about engineering, electrical engineering here, and unless you're a qualified engineer and you've been doing things for 10, 15 years and have safety in mind and engineering in mind, and I mean, yeah, definitely you need to cross-reference things and understand what you're talking about and understand the safety of yourselves and others, and make sure you're not going to be interfering with others and things like that. So this is a hobby of experimentation, but definitely understand what you're doing and how it affects the real world around you. Very, very neat. And yeah, just take everything with a grain of salt. Make sure you understand and cross-reference, double-check things, and definitely understand how the things work before you get into it.
Also, it's a good way to lose your license, causing interference. And also, it's always recommended to use the least amount of power to make your contacts, and no more. Just whatever, just if you can make that contact QRP, do so, and avoid the high power usage if you are in close proximity with your neighbors. AA0JK.
All right, yeah, absolutely. AR0JK, this is K1DBC. Good points there. Using the least amount of power as possible, and absolutely knowing that if you're going to interfere with any public safety or anybody who's paying for their spectrum, the FCC will definitely come after you and make sure that you aren't able to do that. They will fine you and they'll take your license away if you're a repeat offender. But they are understanding and lax. I mean, they're not going to immediately come in and just. I mean, if you're a repeat offender, they'll definitely come in and let you know what's going on, but they'll give you an opportunity. But there are stories of people who have not chosen to do the right thing over time and just have had their license removed and revoked. So good things there, Fred. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. We have a little bit more time here in the net. I wonder if anybody else has any other things. I have a few things I can pass. Otherwise, let me know if anybody has any other further comments, questions, or topics, or anything. Check-ins for the net, please call now.
Okay, check-in, KE0FAN.
All right, I have KE0FAN, Ted, I believe. Thanks for checking in.
Late check-in, W0, Foxtrot, Charlie, Jerry.
And K1DBC Net Control, I'd like to welcome to all of the following check-ins. W0, Foxtrot, Charlie, Jerry, thanks for checking in as well. I'll go ahead and take this opportunity to pass a few more things, and we'll take any other further check-ins, comments, or questions for the net. All right, K1DBC Net Control. As mentioned last week, I was working on a QRP CW transceiver, and I have populated the board. It is not working though, so but it was a lot of fun, kind of understanding and soldering and getting into it, understanding polarity, what needs to go where. I've gone ahead and gone through all the resistors and made sure that they have the correct output, and they're all in the correct places. Anything with polarity I've made sure is soldered correctly. I believe the issue is the BNC connector for RF input output. I believe I have soldered it into the correct pins here, into the incorrect pins. So I will need to. I'm showing a photo here that I've solder wicked and removed the solder from these 4 pins here, so there's a lot less solder on here now, but I still can't remove it. So I'm in the process of removing that that component. But there are probably 30 to 40 components on this board. It took me probably an hour and a half or so, and it was a lot of fun. My solder joints aren't super great, but I am still getting better. I guess I also checked for any shorts as well. So again, that was the only thing I could find. So hopefully I'll desolder this and get it removed and get these 2 little pins moved over to the correct place. So that was something I was working on over this last weekend. Yeah, go ahead with the comment.
Yeah, KE0FAN. If you don't have one, you may want to try to check out a solder sucker. It's a pneumatic, piston-driven solder removal assister. So once you heat the joint, you get this plunger loaded up and cocked, and then hit the button when you're ready, and it will suck the solder right off the joint. It seems to work a little bit better for me than the wick, KE0FAN.
All right, thanks there, KE0FAN. Yeah, absolutely, that was another tool I have not yet purchased, but I have heard of that desolder pump there. I just have not tried that. But that is good. I definitely need to try that out because I definitely want to get this part removed and not have to buy a whole nother board. But yeah, thanks there for the info on that. So yeah, again, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, this is the Pixie Kit, P-I-X-I-E, kits.com. For about $8 to $11, you can buy a CW transceiver with about 30 components that you need to solder on. So pre-populated, it had nothing on it, obviously, and then you populate everything onto it. Very cool. Had a lot of fun. Kind of getting to understand troubleshooting of circuitry, polarity of different components, and yeah, if you have any interest in just basic electronics, I would suggest either this or any other kind of basic soldering kit. Definitely is a lot of fun.
W0TX repeater.
K1DBC Net Control. Oh, I need to sign in to get to this page. Apparently this is an ARL members only. I didn't realize that. They have a online learning network, ARL learning network, with different webinars that you can go register for and go view past recorded webinars. I didn't realize it was members only, but if you are a member, this is something I had found recently. And if you have any interest in summits on the air or kit building, like we were just talking about, Arduinos, they have a bunch of recordings that they have done, and something that I just recently found. Over on, I'm sorry, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Over on rtl-sdr.com, plenty of conferences, as we've talked about. There's the ARRL and Tapper conference. It's the, I forget what Tapper stands for. It's a digital something here. Let's see. All right, I thought I could find it really easily, but if you have any interest, online for free, September 11th through the 12th, the GNU, or just prior to this other conference I'll be speaking about, the ARL and Tapper will hold their digital communications conference online, and on YouTube will be streamed. You can register if you'd like for $30. You'll be grant you the ability to ask questions via Zoom or chat, and includes access to the white papers. So talks include HF propagation, measurement techniques and analysis, early results of festival or of frequency measurement experiment in the Asian eclipse from June 21st, a bunch of software-defined talks, a lot of really deep dives. So if you have any interest in electronics or ham radio, as far as communication, there's a lot of things going on here. So more info on their website, Tapper, T-A-P-R, Tango Alpha Papa Romeo.org on that. And then on September 14th through the 18th, we have the GNU Radio Conference. It's going to be held online. It's going to be free to view the live talks. You must register for their site. It's the annual conference for radio project and community, and has established itself as one of the premier industry for software radio. Again, and their talks are over a lot of software-defined. How strong is my SDR signal? Extraterrestrial investigation. EDIS research. They made the SR, or one of the earlier transceivers. Becky Schoenfeld from ARL is giving a talk there. So tons of information. So a lot of stuff going on over the next few days, few weeks. More info on this one specifically at gnu radio.org. Golfa November Uniform Radio.org. Just looking at reddit.com/amateur radio. A day ago, somebody had done a Summits on the Air here in Colorado just before this huge weather storm, that huge difference in weather change that we had just seen. Oh, these aren't coming up very well here. So he was at, let me drop here for a moment. Mount Sniktau, Sniktau. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but just activation, 13,000 feet, around 4 miles round trip, 1,400 feet vertical. Trail is relatively nice, 5 out of 10. Looks like he did 48 SOTA. He did 48 SOTA summits this year with the FT60R and a roll-up J-pole signal stick, 5 watts VHF UHF. He also has a FT818 that he does for VHF that he's going to try to use. Yeah, we had just a really crazy weather change here just over a few days. So just a couple days ago, somebody did a SOTA. Bright, nice weather. Yeah, National Weather Service, this is K1DP's net Control. Friends of ours over at the National Weather Service put out a tweet of kind of just some comparisons of the records that were set over the last few days. Just some here of record high was set on the 6th at 97, the 5th at 101, and it was latest 100-degree weather on record. Warmest temperature before measurable snow, 93 degrees on the 7th, and previously was 92 on 9/12 of 1993. Shortest number of days between a 100-degree day and first measurable snowfall, 3 days in 2020. Previous record was 38 days in 2019. So pretty neat tweet they had put out at twitter.com/NWS Boulder, National Weather Service Boulder. Couple more things, and we'll start to wrap things up here. Again, just more local news. Just if you have any interest in firefighting efforts and how the cold, rain, and snow boost those efforts, there's just more info on the denverchannel.com on that, and they give a really good. I think they refer to a National Weather Service article on it, but they kind of go to a pretty good rundown of just differences they've seen just within the last few days. But we are still under quite heavy wildfire. It's let me see, the Cameron Peak fire is only 4% contained still. So pretty interesting read there. This was just something that I had found not too long ago, but had forgotten to bring it up. I'll have to find the actual article here. Give me a moment. You know, I don't actually have the right thing here, but it was just a really neat article from some semiconductor companies from the 70s, some advertising. I'll have to find the correct thing here because it was just pretty funny to look at. But let's see if I have anything else here. You know what? With that, actually, I'll throw it out to the net. Does anyone have any other further comments, questions, or anything else for the net? Please call now. Any other late check-ins as well.
KD0DUJ, comment on the licensing fees.
Yeah, KD0DUJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm actually on the page right now to file my comments about the fee structure. I'm just going to say it right now to the net. I think it stinks.
Gotcha. Yep. Thanks there, Chris. KD0DUJ. Yeah, it's there's definitely a lot of different perspectives on it, and it's not. Yeah, definitely a lot of different things. So definitely make your voice heard and let the FCC know, and hopefully we can make a change.
W0TX repeater.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Still have we had 30 days in total, starting on the 2nd or 3rd, I think. So definitely go to the ARL page, and it can show you how to file a comment on the FCC electronic comment filing system, and hopefully we'll have some difference made here. All right, this is Daron, K1BC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I don't have too much more. I'm just browsing here on reddit.com/r/amateur radio of before and after pictures for the, I think it was a California wildfire victim here of an amateur radio repeater station. So pretty intense heat and a lot of unfortunate things there. Anyone else? Any other things anyone else wants to bring up? Any other further check-ins, comments, questions? Anything you want to bring up? Please call now.
K0LAK, Jeremy, checking in.
All right, K0LAK, Jeremy, I got you checked in. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. And again, one more thing, as I mentioned earlier on when we were talking about satellite work, the ISS has a new crossband repeater on it. So if you have any interest in that, it's just another option there for satellite work too as well. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I might start to wrap things up here. Does anybody else have any other further comments, questions, any other late check-ins for the net? Please call now. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and start to wrap things up here. This is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. More info on our club at w0tx.org. Whiskey 0 Tango X-Ray. Front page there is what we've been talking about, the proposed $50 fee. So links there for all that. Talking about the holiday dinner is canceled due to the ongoing COVID situation. Recent C4 FM Digital Wires X work, some help requiring antenna install, as well as for sale and wanted kind of items. Next topic of presentation will be on September the 16th, and that is going to be next week. It's going to be Operating Off-Grid, presented by Robert White, K0RCW. That is going to take place at the presentation starts at 7 p.m. and that's online at Google Meet, so you don't have to be a ham radio operator or at all, just come and join. And at 6 p.m. we have an Elmers session, which is just like this. It's just kind of a Q&A. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to bring up, that is something that we'll handle there from 6 to 6:45. And then again at 7 is the topic presented by Robert White, K0RCW, taking a look at packet station things off-grid and looking how to what different batteries and what things you can bring in to charge and get things going off-grid. Always more info on our club at that website, w0tx.org. You can find more info on past... we have our roundtable newsletter, which talks about different past club activities, as well as we have our repeater and net listings on there. So if you have any questions or want to know what repeaters we have and what nets we believe are still out there, it's a pretty good resource as well. Again, as mentioned, this net, as well as the last several weeks of learning nets and weekly nets and some of the other monthly topics presentations have been put up onto YouTube, youtube.com/WEREGR8. Weekly nets, learning nets, topics of presentations that we had WW0LF I had edited down. We have the Skywarn Storm Spotter, Sky Interpin, ADSB, AR Augmented Vision. We did have the antenna repeater move from St. Anthony, so if you want to see what that was like, it's on there too. So more info, youtube.com/WEREGR8. All right, with that, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control. I will take this will be the last call for any other late check-ins to the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Just for the count, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. If you wish to contact the Learning Net with topic suggestions or to set a date to act as Net Control operator or guest Elmer, you may do so at any time via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com. We also have a public mailing list at groups.io/g/ham-learning-net, where we're cross-posting things from our YouTube onto there as well. This evening we had a total of 20 check-ins. We appreciate everyone being here this evening. We also appreciate and thank our Elmers for helping us with the topics that we have here. Again, we especially appreciate and thank the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use their repeaters for this net. We invite you to join us on the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. from Elmers session prior to the regularly scheduled Denver Radio Club meeting at 7 p.m. In face, this would take place at the Jefferson County Administration Courts building in Golden, but due to COVID, it's now online, and you can find more info at w0tx.org for that. Again, that will be next Wednesday, the 16th. We'll have our topic there. And as far as net control, feel free to jump in anytime, and we can always try to help you with that as well. At this time, I'll go ahead and close the net. All stations, please stand by while the repeaters are placed into normal mode.
PL on.
All right, thanks everyone for being here. Again, next week we'll have our meeting topic, the 16th. More info at w0tx.org on that. This is K1DBC Net Control 730 all. I am clear.